Hey guys, welcome back to Edible TV. It's time to talk about Man United international break. I'm going to be keeping an eye on every team. I'm so excited for the World Cup. I actually cannot wait. It's during academic season, you know, all those times. What is it, 11 a.m. kickoffs? There's some 3 p.m. kickoffs, 7 p.m. kickoffs. I'm going to have to, actually it might be 4 p.m. kickoffs. I need to keep an eye on that. I can't wait for the World Cup and international break. This international break is going to be very interesting because, look, I'm a Portugal supporter. Of course, I support England. I live in England, but I'm a Portugal supporter. And I'll support Portugal until the end. And I believe this is the best Portuguese side I've seen since the Decos, the Figos, Nani in his prime. I mean, Pepe in his prime, obviously. This is the best Portuguese side I've seen in a while. And look, I'll talk about the World Cup in a different video. But I want to talk about Man United. Look, I didn't do the video for Sheriff. I was away. But the Sheriff game, I thought, look, yes, decent game. I loved Sancho's goal. Good build-up play. Ronaldo, look, he didn't have that many chances throughout the game. I thought that he was better. I still look at Ronaldo and I think he's not completely fit. I know that there's something about it. And look, we know Ronaldo's age. We know he can't offer what he could do, 5-10 years ago. But I still think there's something about Ronaldo that he's not completely fit. I think pre-season was a mistake for him to miss out pre-season. But anyway, I just want to talk about some of the comments that we heard from Bruno Fernandes and Brandon Williams. I mean, look, what Bruno said about in his interview about players struggling to adapt to Ralf's system last season, and every player was basically used to the way Oli played. I mean, we saw that basically in pre-season. I mean, we saw, look, moving into the Premier League is a different level, but in pre-season we saw players stand out. We saw Bruno play well. We saw Martial do very well. And we played very well as a team. But the problem is, what happened in the first 2 games of the season, for me, what we saw is players' heads, they weren't there. And they weren't really able to adapt. And what does that show? Look, for a football player to not want to adapt to a way a manager's going to play. And look, when Ralf came in, he's not a manager. I questioned some of his tactics. I questioned some of his substitutions, his starting 11s. But one thing I will say is that Ralf had a clear, distinct way he wanted to play. And there will be similarities between him and Ralf. And this is why it's relevant. Is because both managers want high-pressing, energetic football, which is under Ralf. We saw that in the first game against Palace, and then it just went downhill after the first game. We've got to be honest. After the Palace game, again, Ralf's debut, we weren't playing Ralf's style of football. We weren't. I mean, Ralf clearly was aware that these players couldn't do it. So when Ten Hag comes in, of course, all of us as fans are going to be questioning whether he's going to be able to put his plans in order for these players to perform and to get the best out of this team. Look, some of these players are not built like that. They're not built to play this kind of system. And even in the Premier League, there's still debates on whether his style of football will work, because this is Premier League. Physicality, quick centre-backs. And look, this is Premier League. It's high-level football. It's high-level football. But one thing I will say is that when he talked about how players were already used to Oli's style of football, which is counter-attacking football, it's going to be very difficult. And this is why we're playing so well against Arsenal and Liverpool, because we can counter-attack, and we've got players who are very strong in those type of positions. Rashford, Elanga, Martial. These are players who were played with under Oli, and they got more than 10 assists, 20 goals. So for me, it's very interesting that Bruno has talked about that in the interview. And we saw it in the first 2 games of the season. We played well in pre-season. Look, you come to the Premier League where it's a different kettle of fish, and we get battered by Brighton and Brentford. It's one of them ones. So let's see what happens with that. But and Brandon Williams defending Maguire. I mean, for me, look, it's as simple as this. He talks about a captain in Maguire, but Maguire comes on for 2 minutes, gets the captain's armband. I don't know what that is about. Is it to not hurt his feelings? Maguire hasn't played a single game ever since Brentford in terms of a full 90. Except the Europa League. But either way, for me, it's Maguire is not good enough, and that's just my opinion. I'm not even hating on Maguire. I don't want to hate him. I don't want to hate on him for no reason, but I don't hate on him for no reason. I just think he's not good enough, and it's not that I hate him. I don't even know the guy, but it's like, as a football player, he doesn't suit us. He doesn't suit what Ten Hag wants to do. And look, you got a better midfield in Eriksen, Casemiro, and Bruno. Evidently going to be much more protective on our back four. And we have a very strong defence. And I saw a graph the other day which showed the deepest line in the Premier League. And we were one of the deepest lines in the Premier League, which is not a surprise. I mean, we've been so good defensively. The amount of tackles and interceptions. I think Delo had the best stats as a right back in the Premier League. He was the best fullback in the Premier League in terms of stats. Martinez, the amount of aerial duels he won and ground duels. Look, aerial duels for me doesn't matter about Martinez because they're going to target him anyway because he's short for a centre-back. So they're obviously going to target him. He's going to win most aerial duels because not most long balls won't be exactly perfect for the opposition striker. And he's going to win most aerial duels if the ball isn't perfect. And for me, what's impressive about Martinez is the ground duels. I mean, his timing, his speed, that's what it's about for me in terms of Martinez. And our back four has been so solid. So for me, for him to say, look, these fans and these people who sit on Twitter don't know what they're talking about. Yes, trolls who like to troll for no reason, who don't understand anything. They just do it to get attention and tweets and everything. They don't know what they're talking about. When you're talking about fans who watch football for years, we know what's going on at this football club and we know who's not good enough and who's not. Look, a lot of these players will think they're good enough. Maguire probably thinks he's better than what he is, but we can see that Maguire is not going to suit Ten Hag's system. He might suit a different team, a West Ham, a team who plays a deeper line, counter-attacking football. Look, Maguire might work at this team who play counter-attacking football under Ten Hag, but Ten Hag, that's not the way he wants to play. It's not the way he wants to play. So for me, it's very interesting to hear that about Maguire with Brandon Williams, and he's going to defend Maguire, of course. These teammates are all going to defend each other because they play for the same team, they're mates, they know each other. But if we're going to be completely serious, Maguire's not going to suit Ten Hag's system, and it's as simple as that. And what has Maguire won? Let's be honest. Why is he captain? Look, he came in, Oli gave him the captain's armband, 80 million, the price tag. Look, we already know about the price tag. No need to talk about that. But look, for me, there's still a lot of progression to go with this team. Our next game is Man City on the 2nd of October. There's still a lot of progression to see from this team, and it's going to take months. Look, I think we'll only start to see what Ten Hag has been impressed with our performances against Liverpool and Arsenal, but he's clearly adapted to the strengths of this team. I mean, Ronaldo's been sitting on the bench, except for the last 2 games, but in the Premier League, he's been sitting on the bench and he's used Rashford, Elanga and Sancho up top, and obviously Anthony's coming in, he's used him, but he's used these players because, look, they can play counter-attacking football, they're quick, they're pacey, agile, and that's it, that's why they've played. So for me, it's going to be interesting to see what happens after international break, because some of these players might do well on their international break. The World Cup's going to come about, injuries. It's a tough season for Ten Hag, because if he wins a trophy, then Jesus Christ, phenomenal. Because for me, this wasn't a season where I was looking thinking, Ten Hag, this is going to be the season where you're going to transform this team and get a trophy. No, for me, this is more of it's more about him adapting to this team and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, what players do you need, and a January transfer window, who knows what happens there. For me, this is a season for him to settle, try and get top 4, try and get top 6. I think he can still get Champions League, and that's it. That's all this season was for me. So guys, let me know what you think. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.